thanks everyone for coming along tonight. My name is Leon Galetzis. I will stand on the stage so you can see me. I'm a little bit short. We've got a packed crowd here tonight, over 400 plus people registered. And so that's a huge number. We've got to start saying thank you to our venue hosts, Inspire Night. A wonderful co-working space here in Melbourne. And lots of amazing user groups like Lean Startup. Okay, great. So we're going to get started. We're a little bit short on time. I want to introduce the sponsors. Thomas?
Yes.
Just one moment.
Start with the hashtag.
I'll start with the hashtag, yes we shall. So it's right behind me, Startup Vic. And then also you can tweet at Startup Vic. So all through the night, put your thoughts and opinions on the various startups you see. And also, what we'd love for you to do, after all the startups are presented, we'd love for you to jump on and click on this link, playtolead.co/startupvic. And the reason why is we want your vote. So we have an audience participation tonight. So get out your smartphones and get out your tablets and start voting. But remember, it's at the end of all the presentations. So we mentioned there's some wonderful sponsors here tonight. Bank of Melbourne. And we'll get Sarah up in a moment to talk about some lovely business grants that they have. BlueChilli and VXG, Elance, and of course PwC. So I mentioned that there is some wonderful business grants that the Bank of Melbourne are offering, so I'm just going to get Sarah up on stage to talk about them.
I won't talk for too long. I'm Sarah from the Bank of Melbourne. I'm really looking forward to hearing the business ideas that are coming through. But we've got 3 business grants at the moment for $10,000, and we're just looking to hear business ideas from people that are pitching tonight, but also people in the audience. So the business grants will be for local Victorian businesses that demonstrate innovation, viability and insight. So if you've got a great idea, we'd love to hear it. And that's it. I'd love to hear the pitches for tonight. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Lee.
Let's give Sarah a hand. Hopefully you'll find that the startups presented tonight have those 3 attributes in spades. We'd love to introduce our wonderful judges. I'll start off with Jordan. Jordan is the president of the Melbourne Angels Network. Jordan, say hello.
Hi.
The esteemed Mark Harrison. He's working on an app. We don't know what it is, but it's got something to do with lists. Mark? Excellent. And we have Scott. Scott works for Guide TV. It's kind of, imagine your cable TV box, but on your smartphone. So everyone, Scott? And yes, that person. No, esteemed. But we do recognise that we also have Andrew Burt from Al Ventures. They're imagine Internet of Things. They're building those companies up. And lastly, we have David Wee from Venue Mob. Venue Mob connects event patrons with venues. Awesome. Yep, give him a hand. Alrighty, so we're here tonight to hear 5 pitches from 5 amazing startups. I must admit, I was at the York Butter Factory last night. I saw them practicing. I was very intrigued, and I think you'll find that you'll also be just as excited as I was. So let's get started. We're going to start with Twee from Arts and Smarts. Twee? You really need that Jeopardy music right now. Here we go.
Sorry. I'll get it.
All right, close your eyes, people.
That's all right. All under control.
Good.
Hello everyone, my name is Twee and I'm the founder and CEO of Arts and Smarts, which delivers a fantastic way for parents to prepare their toddlers for school. In addition to this, I'm the proud mum of this beautiful 3.5-year-old girl. There's nothing that I like more than spending time with my daughter. We enjoy cooking, we enjoy reading, and we enjoy doing arts and crafts. Arts and crafts is a really, really great way for us to bring ideas and themes from picture storybooks that we read together to life, as well as a really powerful way for us to, for me to teach her important skills in literacy and numeracy before she starts school. I feel really lucky because I know how to teach my daughter. I have a background in primary education, and over the past 14 years, I've been running an education company called Spectrum Tuition. And together with my co-founder, Alan Sen, we currently run 3 campuses across Melbourne and see over 750 students every single week. Over the years, we've found that children who start school on the wrong foot, they have negative associations with learning. A lot of parents, they recognise that they should do something to help their children transition into school, but the reality is many parents just lack the techniques. They also lack the time to find suitable materials and also to develop a consistent program to teach their children. There's also a misconception that learning and fun are mutually exclusive, so a lot of parents avoid teaching their children anything at all because they just want their kids to be kids. And they, what they do is they have their children sort of sitting in front of iPads and in front of the television. Oops. However, recently the Department of Education Early Child Development has recommended that all children under the age of 5 have 0 screen time. Amongst other factors, this is based on the idea that activities that you do with your children in the few years before they start primary education will have a profound effect on their development. This is where Arts and Smarts comes in. Arts and Smarts is a subscription service where every month parents or subscribers will receive a box containing a picture storybook based on a specific theme, such as the ocean, as well as all of the materials and inspiration to recreate 2 to 3 arts and craft activities that are related to that theme. In addition to this, parents will also be guided on how to teach their children essential literacy and numeracy skills through the included fun learning sheets. The fun learning sheets are also linked to the Australian curriculum documents. So think Birchbox, but for curated educational arts and craft activities. So who's currently playing in this space? We have 2 main competitors, Funky Elephant and My Hoopla. Both companies deliver monthly themed art and craft boxes to subscribers. But the main difference between Arts and Smarts and these companies is that we're not just a craft box. All the activities included in our boxes will combine arts with smarts, and we will explicitly develop already skills. In addition to this, subscribers will also receive get a consistent way to give recognition and rewards to their children. Through the monthly activities, it also encourages children to achieve SMART goals. The interesting thing about this market is that it is a consistent and evergreen market. The preschool education market in Australia is valued at $2 billion. The nature of the product means that it traverses several other industries as well, such as the gift market, which is valued at $20 billion, as well as the online baby products market, which is valued at $315 million. We believe we'll get initial traction by selling this particular product to existing parents on our list. We believe that parents will also buy this particular product for grandparents and vice versa, as in Australia at the moment, 40% of children under the age of 5 are cared for by grandparents weekly. And because the boxes can be gifted directly via our website, they also make great birthday, Christmas and Mother's Day gifts. The main way that we'll sell this particular product is through our website, artsandsmarts.com. We have 4 different options: a month-to-month option, which is $79, all the way to a 12-month option, which is $699. The weekly cost for parents ranges between $13 to $19 per week, which falls well within most families' budgets for extracurricular activities. The margins are between 50 to 62% per subscription sold, and while it's mainly suited to children aged between 3 to 5 years, it's also suited to school-aged children who are currently lacking essential skills, like the alphabet, counting, addition, etc. We'll provide Tupperware-style demonstrations and sell directly to our own meetup groups, as well as to existing playgroups that already meet on a weekly basis. At the moment, there are currently 40,000 children per week who attend playgroups throughout Victoria. So based on these numbers alone, the potential revenue is 40,000 multiplied by our annual subscription of $699 comes to approximately $28 million per annum in Victoria alone. So what we're looking for is we're looking to raise a seed round of $250,000 to help with the pipeline of products, as well as raising awareness through marketing and advertising to prove the model in Australia following our September 1 launch before we roll it out internationally. We're also looking for introductions to partners, namely publishers and art and craft suppliers, as well as mentors and advisors. So if you're looking to help parents read, create and learn with their toddlers, I would love for you to come and have a chat to me. Thank you.
Just going to pass the mic to the judges. Jordan? Let's give them a moment to gather their thoughts. Everyone, let's thank Tweety from Art Smarts again. Well done.
So just a quick question about the market. I've seen one of these before, about probably 2 years ago, and it also came from some people that had educational backgrounds, like they sort of knew the problem. A lot of parents know that their kids need the best start in life, and they completely buy into the idea of my kid's special, they've got to be treated special. But how many parents actually connect with, I need to do these kinds of things to get my kids the sort of the best start in life? Because it feels like the people who know that this is a problem probably can already do something about it. And that's just, it's just a, I don't know, have you done any research on how, what that number of people looks like?
Yeah. So I guess it just comes through education, because I do, for the past 14 years I've been running Spectrum Tuition, and we've found the effects of what happens when children don't start school off on the right foot. And so it's about educating parents and saying that it's actually really important to do things before your children actually start school to give them the best start in life. Because yeah, it's true, not a lot of people, recognise that it is a problem.
The question is, people that we deal with already know that, that's why they're sending their kids to work with you guys. How do you get beyond that group of people that already actualise it?
Yeah, we feel that the value of this product, comes through when you actually see the value of it, face to face. That's why we will be presenting this in front of playgroups, who already meet on a weekly basis. We have to show them that there is a lot of value in doing these arts and craft activities with their children. That's what we were thinking. Yes. Yes, yeah.
Good presentation, Twin.
Thank you.
My question was around, I guess, how progressed you are in terms of the product. Have you already gotten it out there to parents, at least a sample box, gotten their feedback yet? As well as my second question is, how important do you see the need for these boxes to be customised, perhaps by gender, by age, by interest preferences moving forward?
Yeah. Between the ages of 3 to 5, children generally have quite generic interests. So, the ocean, the zoo, farm, they're the types of themes that will be presenting in our boxes. In terms of how far progressed we are, we do have a sample box right here, and tomorrow is when we'll be running our first meetup group so that the parents can actually experience the learning that can take place when you do activities from this box. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? All right. Cool, thanks.
Startups, if you could perhaps save it until after the presentations. Of course, there we go. So if you've got some questions, feel free to approach the startups at the end of the presentations and approach them. In the meantime, keep them in the back of your mind, and don't forget to vote at the end of all the pitches. Now, fantastic. So up next we have Tim. Tim from Creo Ludio. Everyone, let's give Tim a hand. We'll go without the mic.
Every second Thursday night, Trevor is an elf. Specifically, Trevor is a sea elf. And one day he's out in his father's fishing boat and he looks back to shore and he sees columns of smoke rising. So he races back towards land, but he's too late. A tribe of orcs has come through and raided his village, killed everyone, burned the place to the ground. Trevor's distraught. He sifts through the ashes of his father's home and he finds the still warm fishing trident that his father had. He raises it above his head and he swears vengeance to the gods. That's a pretty typical origin story for Dungeons and Dragons. You spend hours working out the backstory of your character, whether it's a wizard or a barbarian, whether it's a he or a she. And then you go down to the shop and you buy yourself a little model called a miniature and you use it in the game to tell the story. But Trev's got a problem. See, he can't just go down to the store and buy a model of a sea elf with a trident because elves don't have tridents. Elves have bows and cloaks in fancy woodland colours. The only bloke that wants an elf with a trident is Trev. This was the problem that 3D printing was supposed to solve. You could manufacture your elf, and then you could use it in the game. But the problem is that there's a gap. 3D printing only solves half the problem. It solves the manufacturing side, but you still need to design whatever it is that you've got. Now, I realise that not everybody is the Dungeons and Dragons aficionado that I am, so let's try a different example. How about the sunglasses? Because everybody wears those, right? But we have different reasons for wearing sunglasses. So, for example, somebody's need for sunglasses might be sunglasses that don't come off while I'm kite surfing. Somebody else's might be that they're really cheap because I know that I'm going to sit on them or lose them within the month. And somebody else might need like 17 pairs in different colours so they match the fancy t-shirts he's bought from StageLabel. But 3D printing can do all that. For 15 bucks, I can make you any sunglasses that you desire. So why don't I see you wearing 3D sunglasses, 3D printed sunglasses? It's because there's no tool to easily design to give you what you want. Now there are experts, the 1%, they can design sunglasses. But for the rest of us, we're stuck using pre-made models from a repository. And the point with 3D printed stuff is it's supposed to, you're making a one-off. It's supposed to be exactly what you want. it can't be what you want if you don't have control over the design. So there's a gap here in the 3D printing market. 3D printing is waiting for a tool that anyone can use. A tool that does the hard parts of the design, but it lets you do the important stuff. It allows you to customize it to make the product yours. So we built Creo Ludio. We built it so that you can make your sunglasses. We built it so that Trev can make his elf. So this is what it looks like. Creo Ludio allows you to create your Dungeons & Dragons character. You can give him armor, you can give him a hat, you can give him another weapon, and then you pose him however you want, and you give it to us, and you ask us to make it real. Creo Ludio makes Trev a key player in the design, not just another end user. He gets exactly what he wants, and that's why it's valuable. How valuable, you ask? Well, Dungeons & Dragons, not a huge market, but it's a really good market to test in and run under the radar. And what's more, it's part of a $700 million hobbies and gaming market, and our product can just as easily make a custom superhero or a custom train. But that's not big enough. Custom design is bigger than toys. And 3D printing today is worth $2.6 billion as a market, and everything in it needs to be designed. It's just the bottom of the hockey stick, really. The key to growth for 3D printing is developing for the mass market. And that requires an easy-to-use design tool. McKinsey knows this. That's why their prediction for where the market will go when somebody solves this is $16.2 billion. That's a valuable solution. So to succeed, we need to do three things. We need to understand the customer, and we need to understand the design process. We need to have the right team to develop the tech, and we need to connect our customer with our product. So I went out and I headhunted the best. Angie Bourne, working in UX before it was an acronym. Rob Crittenden, a bloke who loves design and creation and is fascinated by it. And Christopher Bartlett and Mike Ebenham from Seed Digital, who run their own studio and are gurus. And then there's me, leading the team and trying to explain to you why this opportunity is just so freaking amazing. We've got the right team. And that's time. So we're going to go to there, and I'm going to show you Trevor's elf. Thanks.
So I'm just curious, there's an enormous world of CAD design out there. Why are you doing something from scratch? AutoCAD is already whipped on by several different startups.
Yeah, so I guess when you look at a design tool like AutoCAD, for those of you that have played with one, there's a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about AutoCAD itself, I'm talking about startups that do design and 3D printing they've already purchased to promote through the market.
Yeah, and again, I don't know that that's scalable. If you're designing each thing for each person that comes through, then that's not really scalable. What our product allows you to do is put the design in once, and then the customer configures it to however they want. Does that answer the question, Jordan? Okay.
Maybe just extending on that. So you mentioned that it was about designing something totally unique.
Yep.
Starting from scratch, not pulling things out of the library. It looked like when you built the character, it was picking the sword that were already designed.
Absolutely. So the issue that you've got is you need to find the right balance between designing something from scratch and designing something and taking something that's pre-made. It's a bit like making a car. When you go in to buy a car, you don't design the car from scratch, but you say, I want these mags, and I want the interior trim to look like this, and I want a sunroof. And that's what makes it your car. That's enough of a customisation element to give somebody something that they feel is unique and valuable. And so we're trying to replicate that model here with software. Yes, people are constrained by a certain set of choices, and that comes back to choice architecture and a whole really interesting behavioural science thing. You need to limit some of the options so that people can actually produce something, but at the same time you want to give them as much freedom to make it as valuable as possible.
So who's creating the library of assets?
We've built the library of assets, at least for this one. So we haven't made sunglasses, but sunglasses can be dropped into the program as easily as the piece of film.
Yeah, no, good pitch, really interesting, and yeah, emerging space, one I'm definitely interested in. Like the library itself though, where the boundaries span, so how do you actually get capable of building? Because there's a lot of intellectual properties when you're creating Disney characters or whatever it might be. How do you get that content so you have a valuable set of designs there?
So that's it. One of the things that we really like to do now on the track is start to create partnerships. So one of the groups that we're talking to obviously is Dungeons and Dragons, because a licensing partnership with them would push us a long way ahead. The nice thing about things like elves and dwarves is that they're in the public domain. And likewise, if we're making sunglasses, provided I don't put an exact copy of the Oakleys up there, you know, there's something that can draw on elements of that, and you're customising it to whatever you want. So, yes, it's going to be a bit of a grey area, but as groups like Uber and Airbnb have shown us, you can play in the grey, provided that you're prepared to push it hard. So.
Cool. And then I guess just differentiation. Yeah, what do you see you get self-sit, like, are you going to do the actual printing, or are you going to partner with someone like Shapeways to do that? Which part of value?
So, right now, we're doing the printing ourselves. We're still using a third party, and the intention is that fulfillment is where that will be taken care of somebody else. But at the start, you really want to know all aspects of your value chain. So for me, it's important that I'm at the ground level playing around with this stuff. Yeah, but the wonderful thing about 3D printing is that, you know, somebody with a printer in Europe can print exactly the same thing as somebody in Australia and at the exact same time. So there's no reason we shouldn't be leveraging that advantage down the track. But while we're still in beta, I think we're doing this.
Well, thanks very much. Everyone, thank you. Now, don't forget to be clicking onto this website, my friends, playtolead.co/startupvic. It's your chance to provide your voice about which startup you felt did the best tonight. And now, one thing that's worth mentioning, Startup Vic has a great sponsor in the Victorian State Government, so we'd like to recognise their contribution. Thank you. And we're just going to get prepped up here. And in the meantime, everyone should be bookmarking playtolead.co/startupvic. See you getting out your smartphones now. Yes, you, my friend, and you. Excellent. All right, up next. Okay, up next we have David and Fiona from ParentPaperwork. Everyone give them a hand, David and Fiona.
Back a bit.
Hello, I'm Fiona Boyd. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ParentPaperwork.
And I'm David Edel. I'm the co-founder and CTO of ParentPaperwork. Let's try an exercise. Hands up if you have children at school. Hands up if you're a teacher or you work in a school.
Okay now, hands up if you've ever been to school.
All right, let me tell you about Katrina. Katrina is the deputy principal in a Melbourne school. Every week, she and her admin team create and distribute hundreds of permission slips and excursion forms to the parents of their 1,000 students. They then manually collate all the responses that come back. It takes them hours every week. We've created ParentPaperwork for all the teachers, parents, students of the world, and for Katrina.
And it's a problem for us too. Last year, we counted how many forms we signed for our 3 children across an 8-week period. How many do you think we signed? more than that? 20. A little bit more than that, it was 27. So we know that parents are being asked to sign permission forms in great numbers. Why ParentPaperwork? ParentPaperwork is an online platform that automates paper forms in schools, dramatically reducing costs and improving liability management. Every year, tens of millions of people sign hundreds of millions of forms on behalf of their children. Across our target markets, that's billions of forms every year. A paper-based system is labour-intensive, it's unreliable, and it's not secure. Copying, creating, and distributing paper forms is incredibly labour-intensive, and then sending them home in your child's school bag, well, it's just not reliable. I know a bit about this. My youngest goes to a special school, and she's famous for ripping up forms if she's really bored on the bus ride home. A paper-based system is difficult to track and report. A paper-based system requires secure storage and archiving, and it's a big cost to the environment. In a school of 600 students, we estimate the cost of managing a paper permissions process is $27,000 a year.
So ParentPaperwork is simple to use. There is no setup required by the parents. We use a combination of email and secure web pages, and we give the schools access to real-time reporting. Let me show you what I mean. So the forms are fully customisable, so the school can tailor them and adapt them to their specific needs. Parents receive an email with a link they click to open a secure web form that they then complete and submit. So from a parent's point of view, it really is a click, click, done process. And the schools can log in at any time and see real-time reporting. With one single exported spreadsheet of this data, we save a school having to carry literally ring binders of paper forms every time they take a group of students off campus.
So how do we make money? Our business model is a flat annual subscription tiered to the number of students in the school. The average cost per year is around $1,500 to $2,000 per school. Our sales model is typical of modern online software-as-a-service products. We'll use low-cost channels to market, including 30-day trials and all digital marketing, without requiring a dedicated large sales force.
Our business is unique in the market in the way in which we're approaching the solution for this problem. We have some significant differences to the couple of companies that could be considered competitors. Other products require parents to download and install and register apps onto smartphones. We don't. And unlike our competitors, we connect directly to student and parent contact data at the school. So the school is able to use ParentPaperwork straight out of the box. We're also working hard to give the schools confidence in our privacy by design approach. We have commissioned Ernst & Young to work on a privacy impact assessment audit for us to help credential us to the state education departments.
David and I have a long track record in the technology space. I started working life as a teacher, and since 1996, I've co-founded and collaborated on a number of internet-based businesses. David has spent the last 15 years working in SaaS and e-commerce businesses in Australia and the USA. David and I co-founded the online business network for arts workers, Arts Hub, in 2000. We sold the business in 2006 to a group of private investors. To date, we've had 3 exits.
So ParentPaperwork launched a few weeks ago. We've started here locally in Victoria. We're in 7 schools already, and we have a very strong pipeline of potentials and demos at the moment. Since going live, we've acquired some really great learning from the schools about the problems they face with paper forms, and we're already incorporating some of that into the features and functionality. So far, we've distributed nearly 7,000 online forms, and the schools are seeing some really great metrics, with greater than 50% of parents responding to those forms within 24 hours.
There are 770,000 schools in our initial target markets in Asia, the Pacific, the UK and North America. We are now in discussions for ParentPaperwork to launch in Malaysia and Vietnam, and I've been invited on a trade delegation to Pakistan in October. Our goal is 20,000 schools at an average revenue of $1,700 per year.
So we're currently raising a seed round of $300,000 to help all of the Katrinas in all of the schools of the world. You guys can help us on that journey tonight. There are brochures out the front. Take them home with you. Give them to your parents, give them to friends who've got kids at school. Thank you, and happy to answer questions.
So there's obviously something structural that's stopping people from doing this general concept at schools rapidly, because it's obviously easier than paper. Like the electronic forms, submission, whatever it is clearly better, right? But there's something stopping schools adopting this en masse, if there's still a problem.
To some extent, or we think to a great extent, we don't think anybody's actually yet drawn a box specifically around this issue of automating paper forms. So look, there are some products out there, mostly mobile-based, for example. They're mostly push applications to distribute newsletters and so on, and people have tended to kind of focus on that mobile because mobile's cool. We don't do any of that. We use the tried-true email and web. So when we walk into a school and say, we don't do any of that stuff, all we do is we automate, we replace those paper forms for you, and they go, that's great, where can we sign?
So there's no legislation issues with...
The only issues, there are obviously issues around privacy and personal information. You would have heard me mention we're actually undergoing, the Victorian State Government has a privacy impact assessment audit that a company can complete. We're currently going through that process. But we've met with the Education Department a couple of times with their legal and their privacy branches, and again, there are no significant obstacles as long as we comply with the paperwork and so forth.
Just two more quick ones. You talk about scalable business, but this feels like it's a sales-driven business. Like you need people in the schools actually selling the solution. Is it something that people just jump online and find and solve for themselves?
Until last week, you were correct. I mean, initially we've been going one-to-one, a bit of direct mail and some phone calls and so on. Last week we opened up, turned on the free 30-day trial, so we're bringing it down to that kind of high-volume online sales. For example, teachers comprise something like some remarkable percentage of Twitter people active on Twitter. Education is heavily involved on social media. You've got sites like Edmodo with 36 million parents and teachers. So some really great digital channels to reach out to these people. And our plan is absolutely to maximise those. We don't want to be in the business of a sales force, ringing schools constantly.
And the last one is, in your market sort of expansion, there's some very diverse markets in there. Like Vietnam and the US are incredibly different markets to operate in. Why the diversity? Why not focus on a couple of high-value markets that you could sort of prosecute properly?
To some extent, it's the opportunities that are presented to us that have come through the door. I mean, Malaysia has come through the door via our advisory board, out of the blue. However, there's a commonality. Parents have kids go to school, and the kids fill out forms. And we've spoken to parents in all of those markets, plus India, New Zealand, you name it. You speak to a parent in any of those places and they'll tell you they all have the same problem. There are going to be challenges about operating as a business, but in terms of the concept of the business, it's understandable in all of those places.
So just going back to the possible competitors, what percentage of schools are still 100% paper-based and what percentage already have some form of electronic?
So in terms of paper forms, the answer is 99.999 of them are all on paper. And to give you an idea of where else we can go, 100% of schools use paper for enrolments. So you fill out a 6 or 7 page paper form to enrol your child in school. Parent paperwork is easily adaptable to that scenario. We've just kind of started with this, the forms that are already exchanged between parents and schools as a starting point.
So almost every school in Australia is still 100% paper?
Correct. So any of those companies I've been mentioning, whether they're in terms of potential kind of crossover competitors, in general terms, they're in relatively small groups of stores.
Excellent. Alrighty. So up next, we have Morgan from YourGrocer. Morgan?
Hi, I'm Morgan from YourGrocer. We do personalised home delivery from your local shops. We started this business because we thought that online grocery could be so much better. 18 months ago, I realised that whilst I preferred to get my meat from a butcher and my veggies from a greengrocer, I didn't do it. Instead, I would roam the aisles of Coles at 9 o'clock on a Monday night, which I'm sure most people in this room have done before. Now, personally, I was getting fed up of shopping at the big, unethical supermarkets who screw over everybody in the supply chain, but I couldn't break free because, well, by the time I finished work, most of the shops were shut. So I went and spoke to a whole bunch of friends, basically everyone that I knew, to find out about their shopping habits, where they prefer to go, where they actually shop, and it turns out there's a pretty big group of people who love their local shops, but need convenience. So naturally, we went and spoke to a bunch of local shops. And it also turns out there is a large group of local shops, butchers, bakers, greengrocers and delis, who want to deliver. They're loved by their local community, but they can't deliver because they don't have the scale to deal with the problems. Problems like the cost, the logistical complexity, and the prospect of profitability. Consider a bakery. They sell a loaf of bread for $3. They don't make anywhere near enough profit to deliver. A butcher has all sorts of regulatory requirements he needs to adhere to when he's delivering meat to a consumer. And a greengrocer sells hundreds of products, most of which are sold by weight, which you may not know is friggin' difficult to do online. Now, in terms of profitability, that butcher needs to deliver at least $150 worth of meat to make it worth his while. Now, I don't know the last time you ordered $150 worth of meat, but most of us don't do it very often. In Australia, this is a $120 billion problem. But that's where we come in. We connect people with their local shops and we make the experience awesome. Our customers shop online at their favourite local butcher, baker, greengrocer, deli, fishmonger, you name it. They do it with one visit to the website and one transaction. And it's delivered to their kitchen bench the next day by a friendly driver. And with this van, we're currently delivering 4,000 products. That's a range of 4,000 products from 10 local shops. We call what we do a hyperlocal delivery model. It's pretty simple, but let me explain. First of all, the shops prepare each order individually. Then we go around and pick them all up at once. And then we deliver. Now, a hyperlocal delivery model that aggregates logistics from multiple shops solves the key problems involved with grocery deliveries. First of all, the cost. Daily pickups means no inventory for us and very little change for the shop. The logistical complexity doesn't go away, but instead of a greengrocer having to deal with it, we are. And because our consumers are local, we have a really, really high delivery capacity and we can keep our delivery costs nice and low. And in terms of profitability, well, we don't have any warehousing. Our costs are low. The break-even point for a delivery driver is early, and a shop is making profit from day one. And this van, it's capable of delivering $1 million worth of groceries a year, generating $160,000 of gross profit for us. But it's not just about one van. We plan to grow through a network of local drivers. And we want to do that for a few reasons. Firstly, so we can maintain customer connections. Right now we have fantastic customer relationships. Our customers' kids literally sing songs to us when we deliver. If they have problems, they call us on our mobile and we fix it up the same day or the next. We also want to maintain local driver-shop partnerships. Right now, we plan promotions with the local shops and we leverage each other's strengths really well. And we want it to be easy for a driver to join. Bring your own refrigerated van, get your local shops on board, and you're in business. We're going to recreate the local shop experience, but on a massive scale. Now, in terms of numbers, right now we're doing okay. We are selling $35,000 a month worth of groceries. Now, most of our customers are young families, so if you're wondering what happened to April sales there, it was school holidays, and that's always a bit of a challenge for us. But despite that, we're growing 9% week on week in terms of revenue. And that's because we have a strong team. Now, we've got a pretty diverse background across sales and marketing, tech, operations, growth, and finance. In terms of the industry, the Australian online grocery market is going to be worth $2.9 billion by 2016. Now, we don't just think we have a local product. We believe our model is transportable to any market globally that values local shopping and isn't completely dominated by the major chains. And that local market is going to be worth $100 billion by 2018 because it's growing 23% a year. Now, our customers have tried the competition. We've interviewed a whole lot of them. The overwhelming response is that Coles and Woolworths deliver rubbish. And that Aussie Farmers Direct, whilst they have a great message, they're expensive and their delivery model is far too inflexible. Overwhelmingly, those that have tried us prefer us. Why? Because we deliver what they love. And because we do that, our retention rate is great. Most of our customers buy from us 3 or 4 times a month, and those that buy 4 times a month are spending $120 a week on average. We have a sticky business model. Now, over the next few months, we're going to be launching our second delivery area and looking to meet investors who are as passionate about helping local shops move into the online space as we are. We're aiming to raise 500 grand by the end of the year to help us grow in 2015. Right now, you're looking at a company that is about to level the playing field between the local shops and the major supermarkets. So, get in touch if you want to join us. Thanks.
So, just to get clear, is your model a franchise model?
At the moment we have one delivery run. It's yet to be decided. The future's ahead of us with that. We don't like the idea of a franchise model. We prefer to set up a marketplace model because, well, in food, kind of like the internet, we eat 3 times a day. It's a humongous market. We would like to keep local runs open to multiple drivers servicing a particular area because a driver's run is profitable and sustainable when he's servicing about 300 customers.
So let me ask it a different way. Are you going to employ the drivers or are you going to contract owner-operator drivers?
In the long run, we'd like to contract owner-operator drivers. For the next few runs, until we really nail down our systems, we're going to employ.
So each individual store has to manage their own inventory and keep their stock up to date and all that sort of stuff. Do they have the volume to justify all the work in keeping their side of the bargain?
Most of our shops are butchers, bakers, greengrocers, delis, fishmongers. A lot of their stock, they're at the markets every day, first of all. Stock control is not a big issue. For a shop like an IGA, it is, and we have one IGA. But it's the same challenge if you're selling products off a shelf to a consumer in the shop or doing it online. You've got to keep the shelf stocked up, so it's not an extra burden for the shop. It does become a burden. Our greengrocer's just told us he's put on 1 extra staff member to handle our orders, but as long as it's profitable on a per order basis for him, it's still good and they're able to justify it.
So this concept has absolutely been validated in the US, but it's being done at scale by like Google and Amazon. Like downtown San Francisco, there's Google Fresh Direct, Amazon Fresh Direct and Google grocery drivers everywhere. It's probably going to limit the number of customers that use a sort of a specialist service from locals because it actually is an incredibly easy service to use and they've got serious bucks behind it. There's obviously a market for people who want locally sourced produce and you're seeing that now. How do you grow beyond that kind of, and I don't even know how big the market is, but people who really care about that local solution because a lot of people just don't and it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, definitely. I guess entering into the market, personally we believe in local, we love the local thing, so that's kind of what got us into it. Moving beyond that, well, local is also, like local shops, your local butcher, 9 times out of 10 has a better product than your local Coles or Woolworths. And he's doing it at a better price. So there's a lot of different selling points. Initially, the local one has been the biggest draw card from the customers we have, but moving past that, you go to Bridge Road in Richmond, you've got expensive greengrocers and butchers, and you've got the cheaper greengrocers and butchers. There's variety in that market that we believe is a unique selling point that goes beyond what the supermarkets or the Amazons who warehouse themselves can provide. So beyond the, feel-good local sell, which is what we genuinely believe, we think there's a great product that these local shops have. So if you want to find the best tomatoes or the cheapest tomatoes, we'll help you do that too, eventually. Yeah, they are a marketing partner. So we've priced ourselves in sort of the right spot so that they don't see online sales as cannibalising their in-store sales. So they view us as their omni-channel partner, essentially.
Hey mate, what's your customer acquisition strategy moving forward as you scale on both the customer side as well as the shop's vendor side?
I made an appendix slide for that.
Nice.
Acquisition channel. So right now, it's all about local area marketing for us. Online ads don't work when you're just trying to target young mums in Brunswick. Maybe they do, and if you know how to do it, please let me know. But yeah, local area stuff. So we partner with the shops. We work really closely with them. Local schools, local daycare centres, posters in the local area. It's all local marketing right now. Word of mouth is huge, and a bit of online, sort of trying to generate social media stuff where we can with our existing customers. As we grow, we want to empower the local drivers to keep doing that because it works well, and within sort of 6 to 9 months, a local run can be profitable by doing that. On a bigger scale, we also want to, we believe we have a PR story that, we believe we have a story. So on a big scale, we think that's going to be a big help, also through affiliate partnerships. Your food blogs and your food recipe websites are a big link. So, yeah, so we're doing 100 orders a week at the moment, and we've grown through all these things. So we call up every school in Brunswick. We ask to put an ad in the local newsletter. We're a local business, and we always will be if we keep this model. So the local driver calls the school and says, "Can I run an ad? I support the local businesses. Can we give you 1% of our revenue as a school, as a fundraising, passive fundraising tool to any?" Basically, if a local family signs up who goes to, or who have kids that go to a school, they'll link their account and they'll help support the school. Aussie Farms Direct do it too, so we didn't invent the thing. But so through schools, through daycare centres and putting up posters, we figured out that our primary customers are young family. So basically anywhere young families go, which is schools, daycare centres, and the shops themselves, they all have posters and give out flyers to their customers, and they realise that if they don't do this, they're going to die. So we work closely with them. No, they've all stuck. So we've got 10. We started with about 5. We've just added them slowly. I guess that's part of the question I didn't answer before about how do we grow the vendors. For us, I think with most two-sided marketplaces, the balance, getting the vendors on board is pretty easy. You go to a local greengrocer and you say, "I want to help you get more customers. I want to take a bit of a cut, but it's no risk for you and there's no additional cost for you until you start actually doing some volume." They're all happy. They love it. Our greengrocer recently bought him his staff an iPad mini that we mounted on a trolley, and he's having fun. So, yeah, retention's good. Yeah, so our customers book a 1.5 hour delivery slot. So during the checkout, we just ask them, "When do you want this?" and they pick a window. So most of them home. If they're not, we've got Eskies with ice packs, and because they're regular customers, they give it back to us the next week. So choosing a time when they're home works fine at the moment. There's a lot of room to grow in that. If they're not home, we leave it on the doorstep. They know that. We kind of coordinate it with them. And if it's their first time as a customer, we'll send them an email that explains how it all works. But most of them are just 5 minutes down the road dropping their kids off, which has been a major pain point with the big supermarkets because they won't leave it there if you're 5 minutes around the corner picking your kids up. So it works well. And you know what, if they get home and the meat is spoiled, come back tomorrow and replace it because they're worth a lot to us as a customer. Optimizing our route is definitely a big thing, and that's kind of one of our core strengths, I guess, as in it will be as we grow. Right now we just use a free service online that we can dump 10 addresses in, which we have that many in a delivery window, and it tells us the best way to go, and we just do that. But they're all in a suburb or two, so it's normally about a 2 or 3 minute drive between customers. Thank you.
Excellent. So we don't want to be fashionably late, but we do want to introduce Rohit from StageLabel.
Hi, I'm Rohit, founder and CEO of StageLabel, a unique crowdfunding for fashion platform that's bringing democracy to fashion. Euromonitor International has valued the global fashion industry at $1.3 trillion and expects it to grow to $2 trillion by 2018. Now, despite these strong growth figures, many of the 20,000 small and independent fashion labels will struggle to make it, with the majority having to shut down within the first few months alone. We wanted to know why, so we went and spoke to over 100 designers, both in Australia and overseas, to find out what were some of the barriers holding them back, and they all gave us the same 3 responses. The way the industry is currently set up, designers have to spend a large amount of upfront capital to create an inventory of their items. They're great at what they do, which is designing and producing pieces, but when it comes to marketing and self-promotion, they really tend to struggle. And they have no way of knowing which items from their collections will go on to be successful. So they'll spread their limited capital over their entire collection and hope that they sell just enough pieces to break even or turn over a little bit of profit. Traditional crowdfunding platforms only solve parts of this problem, as they provide a one-off cash injection to these designers. StageLabel has built a unique solution where we remove all of the risks and designs that these designers currently face. We do this by allowing them to test and validate individual designs from their collection pre-production, develop their customer base, and receive funding to help them grow. Essentially, we help connect talented emerging designers with the fashion-forward community so that they can make smarter investment decisions with their limited capital. Our process is really simple. Designers come to us and test their garments by uploading what we call a concept. Now, this could be a sketch or an early photo shoot from their collection, and our community votes for things that they like, similar to liking something on Facebook or Instagram. Once a concept receives enough support, we sit down with the designer and help them with the marketing side through our strategy session. Here we help them develop marketing and promotion strategies, as well as helping them connect up with our partner bloggers and magazines around Australia so that they can get the exposure they need to reach their target audience. We then provide validation through our projects and give those members of the community who have voted for those designs at the concept stage 24 hours of early access to pre-order. Once a project is successful, we transfer the funds directly to the designer and help the designers and customers interact so that they can get all the sizing and delivery details they need to go in and fulfill the orders. Now, designers are used to getting a pretty raw deal in the industry, where retailers and boutiques are charging them somewhere between 50 to 75% commission, and often on a consignment basis. Whereas through StageLabel, we only take a commission of 30% when they run a successful project. Now, to execute on a business like StageLabel, we need talent, expertise, and knowledge across fashion, technology, and startups. And this is where our team comes in. There's myself, Rohit. I've previously run 5 different startups across various industries, including fashion and retail. Tice Klee, our front-end developer and CTO, previously with 99 Designs and Tweaky. Alex Cameron, our creative director, he's worked with some of the biggest brands, including BHP Billiton, Nissan, and Cricket Australia. And Matt Ellis, our lead back-end developer, who was previously a software engineer at Lockheed Martin. Assisting our core team is our advisory board, led by Phil Bosworth, founder and CEO of LifeX, Australia's most successful Kickstarter campaign. Vicky Nicola, president of Fashion Industry Network Australia, and Lorraine Locke, who along with her husband Simon, founded Fashion Week in Australia 20 years ago. Since launching in November last year, StageLabel has already signed up over 85 designers across Australia to our platform. And since launching the concept feature in May, we've more than doubled the number of live concepts on our platform each month, and have had an average user growth of over 10% per month in that time. We've also spent a lot of time in establishing ourselves within the industry, having partnered with 5 of the biggest fashion schools in Australia, 2 of which have gone on to integrate StageLabel into their course curriculum. Now, our biggest competitor in the space by far would have to be Beta Brand. They recently raised a 6.5 million Series B round, but unlike StageLabel, they design and produce their own clothes. Luevo and Before the Label are 2 other competitors in the space, but they're still at the early stages in Canada and New York, respectively. But more importantly, what will separate StageLabel out from any competition now or in the future is that we're not just a platform to buy and sell clothing. We're a gateway for our community to find and set new trends, and for our designers to go on to build successful labels. An example of this is Taylor Sydney. She struggled with her label for a couple of years, so she came to us. She ran a successful project and is now being stocked in boutiques across New South Wales and Queensland, and was invited to her first runway show in Sydney earlier this year. Getting on major runway shows is the pinnacle for most fashion designers. Earlier this year, we gave an opportunity for some of our designers to showcase on the opening night of Fash Fest in Canberra. And next week, StageLabel will be running not 1 but 2 events as part of the official Melbourne Spring Fashion Week program. But this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we want to achieve on a global level. And to help us get there, we're looking to raise between $600,000 and $750,000. Contacts or introductions to people within the industry, and mentors and advisory board members who can help us grow. If you'd like to join us in bringing democracy to fashion, you can do so by heading over to StageLabel.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit. Good pitch. One thing that really stands out to me with this particular business is the legwork involved in getting the vendors or the designers to actually put their content up. And then the work around promoting that campaign, and then the volume's going to be pretty low as well. Like with Kickstarter, you know, you might do 10,000 units of a particular product and they take 5% of $1 million. For me, it doesn't. I can't imagine people buying 8,000 of the same dress. How do you get around that volume?
The volume issue? Yep, so just striking back to what you sort of initially mentioned about the legwork required to actually raise, the legwork required to raise that. That's something we actually noticed when we launched, when we went straight to the projects feature. The idea behind the concept is that we can get early validation from designers. We remove all of the risks and barriers that designers have. All they need is an image, a title, and a description, and that's it. And we can go to schools, they create drawings every day, they can just put that up, so that removes that friction. In terms of, sorry, what was the second part of the question? The volume. Yeah, in terms of the volume, our big focus, we're kind of like the greengrocers. We're all about designers looking for unique garments. A lot of our designers hand produce the garments themselves locally, and this is a really big selling point for us as well, and which is why the 24-hour early access is really important, because our designers are often making somewhere between 10 to 15 pieces at most of any one garment. So it's kind of gamifying that, getting people to get in quickly to actually buy it before it runs out. So, but longer term, absolutely, something that we want to do is to help designers who are looking for volume to have that opportunity. We were talking to Ethical Clothing Australia for a little while before their funding ran out about bringing in producers and suppliers that we trust, that we have pre-negotiated deals with, that we could sort of pass them on to. But unfortunately, because their funding ran out, that kind of went dead in the water. But obviously it's a resources thing, we can't throw ourselves cheap in, but longer term, definitely that's something that we want to look for, where we have producers and suppliers that designers can go to if they don't already have a connection in place for them to do that. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, could you just stop globally?
Yeah,
absolutely. Sorry, I was talking with other. I was just saying, you may want some way to lock in. So you're effectively a front end of a distribution company, because volume's never going to come through your site, but it may come through other channels.
Yeah, and I guess that's the biggest difference between us and a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, is that for them it's almost like a one-off transaction where you come there to start, whereas with us it's an ongoing process. We've already had designers who have uploaded multiple collections over time, over the 6 months as well, and that's an ongoing sort of relationship issue that we that's how we sort of generate value, and how we sort of, I guess, pull back that volume side of things a little bit more.
Where do you see Etsy in this equation?
Where do I see Etsy?
Yeah.
That's a great question. So again with Etsy, it's Etsy and like people have asked us if we see Possible and Etsy and things like that as competitors. We actually see them we see us as an in-between. We've had designers who have gone on Kickstarter or Possible and that have come to us afterwards as well. And a lot of our designers have Etsy stores. Our biggest value point at the moment is making sure that we validate the garments that the designers are producing. Even through Etsy, they have to create an inventory of those items. If they don't know which ones are going to be successful, they're putting money down on an idea that they don't know whether it's going to work or not. So they come to us in between. If they want to go on and sell those pieces at Etsy, we're totally fine with that. Over time, again, something that we'd look to do is create like a StageLabel shop, I guess, where successful projects you can keep purchasing, but we're just not at that stage yet.
So the last question is, I think the last time I saw you pitch, you were doing a travel startup. Was that Battle Trip? Wasn't you?
That wasn't me.
My bad.
So in terms of traction, just some numbers, how many products have been put up and what percentage of them ended up getting made?
Yep, so we had a couple of successful projects at the start, as I sort of mentioned. At the moment, so I think the conversion rate wasn't great, which is one of the reasons why we sort of, as a team, we said, there are things that we can do better. I think we had about 8 successful projects from about 40 odd at the start. At the moment, we launched that concepts feature about 12 weeks ago. We started with 12. About 6 weeks ago, we were at 50, and now we're at close to 140 at the moment. So again, this is sort of removing that barriers has made it a lot easier for designers to upload things. And at Melbourne Spring Fashion Week, we're launching our projects feature. So pretty much everything that people see on the night, that's the night that it gets released, and they get first dibs on the garments as well.
Hi, mate. Just to clarify, so you don't help the designers manufacture or create the products, they do that themselves?
Yep.
So usually is it handmade, by the single, individual items?
Yeah, it's totally, all the designers that we work with are really varied. So some of them order in the materials, do the sewing, everything themselves. A couple of them have a few helpers, a few of them have external producers and suppliers that they work with. So we totally leave that up to us. That, at the moment, that's a huge risk for us to take on, where we say that we're responsible for delivering. It would be the same as Kickstarter saying that they're responsible for any projects that go up there. So we kind of are removing ourselves from that equation a little bit. And designers probably know that production side a lot better than we do at the moment.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic. So just a reminder, I want everyone to jump on this website, play2lead.co/startupvic. So everyone should be getting out their phones right now because all our pitches are done. So we had an amazing variety of pitches tonight, didn't we? We had everything from fashion to food, paperwork, and arts and crafts. Now don't get moving because I'm about to announce some prize winners. All right? Shh. Thank you. All right, so I'm about to announce some prize winners, and I'd like the prize winners to come up and introduce themselves to Nick. So announcing, it is Braden Wilrath, Candy Hertz, Will Egan, Chris Chinchilla, and Johnny Pans. If you guys could come up and introduce yourself to Nick, that'd be great. And congratulations on winning the door prize. To those audience members who are asking, who want to get to speak to the startups directly, we're going to have an audience Q&A. It's a bit spontaneous, so all the startups, guys, if you could just come onto the stage. Awesome. Yep, please come up. Yep. We missing anyone? Excellent. And
that's all right. Say that.
And yeah. So you can stand it. Good. You're taller enough. Okay, great. So so let's open up to the audience. Who's got some questions? You had one before.
Hello to Arts and Smarts. I've got a question because you're in the education space. Yes, it is before the K-12. when it comes to measuring, do you have any kind of form of like assessment or something like that? If they do complete a task, is there any form of assessment to justify that what you're doing is actually making a difference compared to someone that's not?
Yeah. All of our...
Okay, can we just get some silence, please?
Just repeat the question.
And please repeat the question, yes.
To repeat the question, yeah, so because you're in the space before K-12, usually with K-12 you've got assessment-based criteria and stuff like that. I'm curious about do you have any kind of forms of measurement? So if someone does actually complete a task, or if you have one of these little boxes that goes out and you complete the task, is there a form of measurement or assessment that you can really kind of judge to identify if it's actually helping the education and learning process before you get to K, or is, how can you measure that?
Yeah, all of our activities are based on the standards as set out by the AusVal's curriculum. So all of our fun sheets will have education links to the curriculum, and from there the arts and craft activities will also support that. So yes, it's all based on the AusVal's curriculum. Yeah, but we're only going to be pulling out a few items from the foundation level of the Australian curriculum. We won't be covering the entire curriculum. That's just not possible. But yeah, by the end of the 12-month program, children should be towards the middle of grade prep curriculum. That's what.
Thank you for that.
Congratulations to everyone on your pictures. I found them all very interesting. My question is to the fashion industry. Just with regards, you've got a great team on board. I'm just wondering, how do you manage any conflict of interest within the business with regards to Melbourne Fashion Week or other fashion shows?
Sorry, in terms of conflict of interest in
what sense? You've got a very strong management team.
Yep.
And I think you noted there that some people were involved with Fashion Week. So I'm just wondering, how do you manage those internal, it's a very fickle industry at times, with all respect. How do you manage the conflict of interest between your management company, the management team, and getting on to runways and shows and navigating that? I'm not saying it's negative, I'm just saying how do you do that? Because I think it's a good opportunity.
No, absolutely. I guess it hasn't really been an issue to date. It's been, especially with our advisory board, the way that it works is that they will provide introductions or things like that, and so it's up to us to build those relationships with people. So as long as we don't have conflicting interests, it hasn't really been an issue to date, to be honest. Like just being part of Melbourne Spring Fashion Week and Fash Fest, everyone likes the idea of just supporting designers from across Australia as it is. Most fashion weeks already have an emerging designer market or a runway showcase that happens, but they're always looking for opportunities to showcase new designers, because it's great PR for them as well. So to date, to be honest, it hasn't been an issue. But yeah, I guess if it does come up, we sort of deal with it as it came up. Yeah.
This is to the school forms. I'm just curious, how will you remain competitive if the existing school management systems like Synergetic, Blackboard and Schoolbox decide that they want to build functionality like this? Because it's not overly complex functionality.
It's a good question, and a couple of them already have a little bit of that. That is, the school management systems on feature 198 on the feature list might say, oh, we do excursion forms, but generally they're going to be fixed templates, for example, so the school has no choice. That's the form that they must use, whereas ours has a complete form builder. You can build whatever form you like and deliver that out to the parents. So that's the other part of it is, from their point of view, it's a very minor offshoot of their core business, which is managing enrolments and usually managing the business of the school, for which they charge a couple of $100,000. Instead of being one feature 198, we have one feature and we do it really well. And in fact, you may have heard me mention, we're actually already modifying the product in response to the feedback we're getting from the schools. So we very much have a continuous development cycle, and we're releasing literally every week on that.
Do you think that you'll be able to scale it without direct sales, considering a lot of the bureaucracy in schools?
Yes, it depends a little bit on sectors. So here in Victoria, so 2,200 schools in Victoria, they all have delegates. State schools in Victoria, for example, have a delegated authority. So the Education Department sets standards and protocols, but if you go to the Education Department and say, I'd like to sell something to every school in Victoria, they say, fine, go ring every school in Victoria. As opposed to Tasmania, so our news this morning is we started a pilot with a high school in Hobart this morning. It's in conjunction with the Tasmanian Education Department, and the intent is for the department to evaluate the product through to the end of this year, to make a decision about rolling it out to, Fiona's going to get me this number, 248 schools in Tasmania next year. So it's a slightly different kind of dynamic. Schools in Victoria, they can make their own choices. In somewhere like Tasmania, they're reliant on a network deal. Does that help answer, Alex?
Yeah, good luck, guys.
So I have a question over here. Hi, so my question is to the 3D printing guy. So I love the concept of designing and being able to print your own object, but I was just curious why you picked such an obscure product like the Dungeon and Dragon figurine, and why you didn't go for another high volume market like the sunglasses that you also mentioned.
I think there's a long way to go to get our product right, to be honest. So we need to do a market test. We need to find out how people, I guess, and it was what the judges picked up on, what's that tipping point between customization and design when you feel like the product is yours? So Dungeons and Dragons is actually a great market because it's pretty small, so we're not going to have a lot of competitors. There's a highly engaged audience. They love their hobby. They have a high willingness to pay and a high discretionary spend. There is a really easy channel through online to get hold of these people. And there's a good opportunity for the product to go viral. So if one D&D person likes it and it shows up at something, then everybody wants it. And so, yes, it's small, but we had to start somewhere, and that seemed like a really good one for those reasons.
Alrighty, well that almost about wraps it up. Let's thank everyone again and stay on the stage. And so we wouldn't be here tonight without the assistance of the Victorian State Government, again, key sponsors for Startup Victoria. I'm going to bring on stage Nick from Startup Victoria to help announce the winner, although he's very nervous about it. But also he wants to just mention about some of the hard work that the startup's been putting in these last couple of weeks.
So yeah, I guess just a summary. These guys and these startups have been involved in this process for about 5 weeks. So they've spent a lot of time Monday nights rehearsing their pitches, going through a lot of ideas. So what you're seeing tonight is very well polished pitches. And I just want to say thank you to all the guys here for such a great effort. We've had a great bit of feedback in terms of the value this has provided. So if anybody else is interested from the audience and you think this may be able to help you in the future, please go and speak to Thomas from Startup Vic. We'd be keen to see your interest. And we'll pass on for the winners.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you very much. So announcing the winner. Yep. Good. I thought you were going to do it. Okay.
Yeah, so we have one winner of tonight, and the winner of tonight is ParentPaperwork. Of course, the amazing prize that they've won is that they get mentorship from 2 judges that they can pick themselves. And they will get a sit down with Squarepack Capital and they will receive 3 months office space at Queen's Collective. So they have everything they need to get their parent paperwork kickstarted.
I won't make a very long speech. I do want to say a huge thank you from Fiona and in fact all of us to Startup Victoria. The process has been fantastic. If you are building a startup or considering doing it, please sign up. We've had 2 fantastic mentors over the last 5 weeks who literally pulled us apart, put it all back together again. You should have seen us before we started this. Some of us were at 10 minutes on our pitches. It's also a slightly different process to the one you might see with some of the other incubators and so on. It's probably a much more interactive one. We literally all sat down and worked on each other's pitches, and I think that that's, the benefits of that have been immeasurable. So again, thank you to everybody here. We're incredibly grateful, and thank you again to Thomas and all of the team at Startup Victoria.
And that wraps it up. So feel free to stay for drinks, and thanks very much everyone for attending. And again, Victorian State Government, thank you very much too.